Before the United States had its own official money, the American colonies were, honestly, a confusing place to buy things. People used whatever they could find to trade for goods and services. There was no single unified currency that everyone agreed upon. Instead, a wide variety of items served as money, making daily commerce a pretty complicated affair. For many, the most common way to get what they needed was through bartering. A farmer might trade a bushel of corn for a new pair of shoes, or a blacksmith might trade his metalwork for food and supplies. This system worked, but, it was often inefficient and difficult. Foreign coins were also a very common sight in the colonies. Because America was a hub of international trade, coins from all over the world ended up in people's pockets. The most popular of these was the Spanish silver dollar, often called a piece of 8. This large, heavy silver coin was trusted by merchants and colonists alike because of its reliable silver content. People would even cut the coin into 8 small wedge-shaped pieces or bits to make change. This is why a $quarter is sometimes still called 2 bits. Coins from Britain, France, and Portugal also circulated widely. The lack of a consistent money system caused many problems for the young nation. Each colony had its own way of valuing the different foreign coins, which led to confusion and disagreements. Some colonies even tried printing their own paper money, but this often lost its value quickly because there was nothing solid, like gold or silver, to back it up. People grew tired of the uncertainty. They wanted a reliable and uniform currency that everyone in the new United States could trust. This widespread desire for a stable monetary system was a major reason the nation's founders decided to create a national mint. The experience of using foreign silver coins, especially the Spanish dollar, had a profound impact on the future of American money. The colonists understood the value of silver. They knew it was a precious metal that was durable and held its value over time, unlike paper money that could become worthless overnight. This deep-seated trust in silver heavily influenced the decisions made by the new United States government. When the time came to create their own coins, the founding fathers looked to the familiar and respected Spanish silver dollar as their model, setting the stage for a new chapter in American currency. After the Revolutionary War, the leaders of the new United States knew they needed to create a strong and independent nation, and a national currency was a vital part of that vision. In 1792, Congress passed a monumental piece of legislation known as the Coinage Act. This law was the blueprint for the entire American monetary system. It established the United States Mint in Philadelphia, which was the first federal building constructed under the new Constitution. The act also authorized the creation of the nation's very first coins, marking the beginning of a new era of American financial independence. The Coinage Act of 1792 was incredibly detailed. It specified exactly which coins the mint should produce, ranging from copper half-cents and cents to silver dimes, quarters, half-dollars, and dollars. It also established gold coins. A key part of the law was its adoption of a bimetallic standard. This meant that the value of the US dollar was legally defined in terms of both silver and gold. A specific weight of silver was equal in value to a specific weight of gold. This system was designed to create a stable and flexible money supply for the growing country's economy. Silver was chosen as a primary monetary metal for several important reasons. First, it was trusted. Americans were already very familiar and comfortable with using silver coins, thanks to the widespread circulation of the Spanish silver dollar. The new US silver dollar was intentionally designed to have a similar size and weight to its Spanish counterpart to encourage public acceptance. Second, silver was more available than gold, which made it practical for creating the smaller denomination coins needed for everyday transactions. Gold was reserved for higher value coins used in large business deals. The first US silver coins were struck in 1794, 2 years after the Coinage Act was passed. These coins were more than just money. They were powerful symbols of American sovereignty and pride. Each coin declared to the world that the United States was a legitimate, independent nation with its own stable economy. Having a uniform currency made trade between the states much easier and helped to unite the country. The shiny new silver dollars, half-dollars, and other coins flowing from the Philadelphia Mint represented the strength and promise of the young republic. The very first silver coins produced by the United States Mint featured a design known as the flowing hair type. Struck in 1794 and 1795, these coins depicted a youthful image of Lady Liberty with her hair flowing freely behind her, a powerful symbol of freedom. On the reverse side was a rather thin-looking eagle perched within a simple wreath. These early coins were beautiful, but the design was criticized by some for being unsophisticated. The image of liberty was meant to represent the spirit of the new nation, breaking free from the tradition of putting portraits of monarchs on coins. In late 1795, the design was updated to the draped bust style. This new portrait of liberty, said to be based on the prominent Philadelphia socialite Anne Willing Bingham, was considered more elegant and classical. Her hair was neatly tied with a ribbon, and a drape covered her bust. The eagle on the reverse side also underwent a change. Initially, it was a small eagle similar to the earlier design. However, starting in 1798, it was replaced by a large, majestic heraldic eagle, which resembled the Great Seal of the United States. This powerful new symbol was meant to project an image of national strength and authority. The next major design change came in 1807 with the capped bust series. This design, created by German immigrant John Reich, featured a more mature and fuller-faced Lady Liberty wearing a cap inscribed with the word Liberty. This cap was a Phrygian cap, a classic symbol of freedom and revolution. The eagle on the reverse was also redesigned to look more natural and less stiff than the heraldic eagle. This capped bust design would remain on most American silver coins, including the dime, quarter, and half-dollar, for nearly 3 decades, becoming a familiar sight in commerce. During these early years, the U.S. Mint worked to standardize the purity of its silver coins. The Coinage Act of 1792 had specified a somewhat unusual fineness of 89.24% silver. This was changed in 1837 to a simpler and more internationally recognized standard of 90% silver and 10% copper. The small amount of copper was added not to devalue the coins, but to make them stronger. Pure silver is a very soft metal that can be easily bent, scratched, or worn down through circulation. Adding copper created an alloy that was much more durable, allowing the coins to withstand the rigors of daily use for many years. In the 19th century, the process of making silver coins was a fascinating blend of artistry, chemistry, and industrial power. It all began with large bars of silver, which were delivered to the mint. First, the silver had to be assayed, which meant its purity was carefully tested. Then, the raw silver was melted down in large crucibles inside intensely hot furnaces. The correct amount of copper was added to the molten silver to create the 90% silver and 10% copper alloy. This mixture was stirred thoroughly to ensure the two metals were evenly distributed before being poured into molds to form long, thin ingots. Once the silver ingots had cooled and solidified, they were sent to the rolling mills. These powerful machines used immense pressure to squeeze the ingots between heavy steel rollers, gradually thinning them into long, flat strips of metal. This process was repeated multiple times, with the strips being annealed, heated and cooled in between rollings to keep the metal from becoming too brittle. The goal was to roll the strips to the exact thickness required for the specific coin being made, whether it was a dime, a quarter, or a dollar. This step was crucial for ensuring each coin would have the correct weight. Next, the properly sized strips of silver were fed into a blanking press. This machine worked like a powerful cookie cutter, punching out round, plain metal discs called planchets or blanks. The leftover metal strips, full of holes, were known as sizzle and were collected to be melted down and used again, ensuring no valuable silver was wasted. At this stage, the planchets had rough, sharp edges from the punching process. They were then put through an upsetting mill, which smoothed the edges and created a raised rim around the circumference of each blank. This rim helped protect the coin's design from wear. The final step was the most exciting, striking the coins. The finished planchets were fed one by one into a coin press. Inside the press, each blank was held in place by a collar while 2 steel dies, one for the obverse, or front, and one for the reverse, or back, struck it with tremendous force. In a single instantaneous blow, the dies impressed the intricate designs of liberty and the eagle onto both sides of the blank. The collar, which was often reeded, also formed the grooved edge seen on most silver coins. The newly minted shiny silver coins were then inspected for quality before being counted, bagged, and sent out into the world. For most of the 19th century, the United States operated on a bimetallic standard, where both gold and silver were officially recognized as legal money. However, the market values of these metals often fluctuated, By the early 1870s, the value of silver on the open market had dropped to a point where the silver in a silver dollar was worth less than its $1 face value. In response to this and, other complex economic factors, Congress passed the Coinage Act of 1873. This sweeping law effectively ended the bimetallic standard by removing the provision that allowed people to bring silver to the mint and have it coined into dollars for free. The law's most significant consequence was that it stopped the production of the standard silver dollar. While smaller silver coins like dimes, quarters, and half dollars continued to be made, the mighty silver dollar, the cornerstone of the system, was gone. At the time the act was passed, it generated very little public attention. However, a few years later, when silver prices plummeted due to new discoveries from Western mines like the Comstock Lode, the situation changed dramatically. Suddenly, there was a huge amount of cheap silver available with no major buyer, as the US Mint was no longer coining it into dollars. This is when the public reaction exploded. Silver miners, farmers in debt, and populist politicians began to fiercely protest the 1873 law. They nicknamed it the Crime of 73, claiming it was a secret conspiracy by wealthy bankers and Eastern industrialists to contract the money supply and make it harder for working people to pay off their debts. They argued that by demonetizing silver, the government had unfairly favored gold, which they saw as the money of the rich. They demanded the free and unlimited coinage of silver to be restored, which they believed would increase the money supply, cause inflation, and make it easier to pay their loans. The debate over silver became one of the most passionate and divisive political issues of the late 19th century. The country was split between the silverites, who wanted more silver money, and the gold bugs, who defended the gold standard as the only source of stable currency. This conflict dominated politics for more than 2 decades, pitting the agricultural West and South against the industrial Northeast. The Crime of 73 was not a crime in the legal sense, but its name captured the anger and frustration of millions of Americans who felt that the government's monetary policy had left them behind. The intense political pressure from silver advocates eventually forced Congress to act. In 1878, they passed the Bland-Allison Act over the veto of President Rutherford B. Hayes. Now, this law didn't restore the free coinage that silverites really wanted, but it was a major compromise. It required the U.S. Treasury to purchase between $2 and $4 million worth of silver from Western mines each month and coin it into silver dollars. This marked the grand return of the silver dollar, after its 5-year absence. The new coin designed for this purpose would become one of America's most famous and beloved coins. The coin born from this act was the Morgan silver dollar, named after its English-born designer, George T. Morgan. The obverse featured a powerful and classical portrait of Lady Liberty, modeled after a Philadelphia schoolteacher named Anna Willis Williams. The reverse depicted a proud, majestic eagle with outstretched wings, clutching arrows, and an olive branch. The Morgan dollar was minted in massive quantities from 1878 until 1904, and then again for one final year in 1921. These large, heavy coins quickly became symbols of the American West, associated with saloons, cowboys, and the fortunes won and lost in the frontier. Despite the continuous minting of millions of Morgan dollars, the debate over silver did not end. Silver prices continued to fall, and silverite politicians pushed for even greater government support. Their efforts led to the Sherman Silver Purchase Act of 1890, which required the Treasury to buy even more silver, 4.5 million ounces each month. However, this act put a severe strain on the nation's gold reserves and was repealed just a few years later during the Panic of 1893. By 1904, the silver bullion purchased under these laws had been used up, and production of the Morgan dollar ceased. The silver dollar made one more historic comeback after World War I. The Pittman Act of 1918 authorized the melting of millions of older silver dollars to provide silver to Great Britain. The act also required that every dollar melted be replaced with a new domestically mined silver dollar. To commemorate the peace following the war, a new design was created, the Peace Dollar. Designed by Anthony DeFrancisi, this beautiful coin showed a radiant profile of liberty on the obverse and a peaceful eagle at rest on the reverse. The Peace Dollar was minted from 1921 to 1928, and again in 1934 and 1935, marking the final chapter for the circulating silver dollar in America. For over 170 years, silver was a part of daily life for every American. It wasn't just the large, impressive dollars that were made of the precious metal. The small coins used to buy groceries, newspapers, and streetcar rides were also composed of 90% silver. The main circulating coins that contained silver were the dime, the quarter, and the half-dollar. From the earliest days of the mint until the mid-1960s, these coins were a familiar sight and feel in the hands of the public. People trusted their value because they knew the coins were made of a metal that was intrinsically valuable. Over the decades, these everyday silver coins featured some of the most famous and beautiful designs in U.S. history. For example, the Barber coinage, designed by Charles E. Barber, was used on the dime, quarter, and half-dollar from 1892 to 1916. It was followed by a renaissance of coin design. The Mercury dime, with its winged liberty, was introduced in 1916 and is still considered a classic. In that same year, the stunning Standing Liberty quarter appeared, followed by the beautiful Walking Liberty half-dollar. These designs represented a golden age of American numismatic art. Later, these artistic designs were replaced by portraits of revered American presidents. In 1932, the Washington quarter was introduced to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. This design proved so popular that it is, in a modified form, still used today. In 1946, a new dime featuring President Franklin D. Roosevelt was released shortly after his death. Finally, in 1948, the Benjamin Franklin half-dollar was introduced. For nearly 2 decades, the familiar silver faces of Washington, Roosevelt, and Franklin were a constant presence in the nation's commerce. The Kennedy half-dollar, first minted in 1964 after President John F. Kennedy's assassination, was the last regular-issue coin to be made of 90% silver. By the early 1960s, a major problem arose. The market price of silver began to rise dramatically, to the point where the silver metal in a coin was worth more than the coin's face value. This led to widespread hoarding. People started pulling dimes, quarters, and half-dollars out of circulation, melting them down for their silver content. This created a severe national coin shortage. To solve the crisis, Congress passed the Coinage Act of 1965. This law completely changed the composition of American coins. Silver was removed from the dime and quarter, which were now made of a copper-nickel-clad composition. The silver content of the half-dollar was reduced to 40% and was then removed entirely after 1970, ending the era of silver in everyday American pocket change. Even though silver disappeared from circulating coins in the 1960s, the story of U.S. silver coins was far from over. In the 1980s, there was a growing desire for the U.S. government to mint a modern silver bullion coin. Other countries, like Mexico, with its Libertad, were already producing such coins, and American investors wanted a domestic option. In 1985, Congress passed the Liberty Coin Act, which authorized the U.S. Mint to produce a new silver coin. This coin was not intended for everyday circulation, but rather for investors and collectors who wanted to own a piece of pure silver guaranteed by the U.S. government. The result was the American Silver Eagle, first released in 1986. This magnificent coin quickly became the most popular and widely collected modern silver coin in the world. For its design, the mint revived one of the most beloved images from American coinage history. The obverse features Adolph A. Weinman's iconic Walking Liberty design, which had originally graced the half-dollar from 1916 to 1947. This image of liberty striding confidently toward the dawn is considered one of the most beautiful designs ever to appear on a U.S. coin. The reverse of the Silver Eagle originally featured a heraldic eagle design created by John Mercanti, a modern interpretation of the Great Seal of the United States. In 2021, to mark the 35th anniversary of the series, the reverse was updated with a new design by artist Emily Damstra, showing a dynamic eagle as it comes in for a landing. Unlike the 90% silver coins of the past, the American Silver Eagle is much purer. Each coin is struck from 1 troy ounce of 99.9% pure silver, making it a reliable and convenient way to own the precious metal. The American Silver Eagle is produced in several different versions to appeal to both investors and collectors. The most common is the bullion version, which is sold through a network of authorized purchasers and coin dealers worldwide. Its price, is based on the daily market price of silver, plus a small premium. The mint also produces special proof and uncirculated versions specifically for collectors. These coins have a finer finish and are packaged in protective cases with a certificate of authenticity. The Silver Eagle represents a new era for U.S. silver coins, no longer money for the pocket, but a treasured asset for the vault. Today, United States silver coins occupy a very different place than they did for most of American history. They are no longer found in pocket change or used to buy goods at the store. The era of circulating silver money ended definitively in the 1960s. Instead, historic silver coins, like Morgan dollars, Mercury dimes, and Washington quarters, minted in 1964 or earlier, have become items for collectors and investors. Their value is no longer tied to their face value. A 1955 silver dime is not worth just 10 cents. Its worth is based on its silver content and its rarity, or numismatic value. The value of these older junk silver coins, a term for common-date 90% silver coins with no special collector value, is primarily determined by the current market price of silver. People buy and sell these coins in rolls or bags, and their price fluctuates daily with the silver market. More than just their metal content, many of these coins are prized for their history and design. A rare date or a coin in pristine, uncirculated condition can be worth hundreds or even thousands of times its original face value. Collecting these pieces of history is a popular hobby that connects people to the nation's past. Modern silver coins, like the American Silver Eagle, are produced using advanced technology. The process begins with sourcing large, refined silver bars that are certified as 99.9% pure. These bars are melted, formed into ingots, and rolled into strips of precise thickness, much like in the old days, but with far greater technological precision. The planchets are punched out and then go through a special cleaning and burnishing process, which gives them their brilliant, lustrous finish. The striking process uses high-pressure hydraulic presses that create a flawless impression from the dies, resulting in coins of exceptional quality and detail. The journey of U.S. silver coins mirrors the economic and technological journey of the nation itself. They began as essential tools of commerce, painstakingly made and representing the foundation of the country's financial system. They evolved through decades of political debate and industrial progress, bearing witness to war, peace, and westward expansion. Today they have completed their transformation from utilitarian objects into treasured collectibles and investment assets. Whether it's an old worn barber dime or a brand new perfect silver eagle, each coin tells a part of the shiny, enduring story of America's relationship with silver.